Fans of Spider-Man will of course know that the friendly neighborhood superhero can do, well, whatever a spider can. Is that scientifically accurate? Can spiders actually do backflips? Well, for the sake of argument, sure. If you've been bitten by a radioactive spider, you can do backflips. But actors, their only superpowers are their personal trainers. In this video, we're going to be looking at the most sensational stunts from nearly 20 years of Spidey movies. 20 years!
What?
No wonder Tobey Maguire's back hurts.
My back! Oh, my back!
Realistically, we were only ever going to start with Tom Holland. In the words of Marvel's executive VP of production, quote, "Tom does things that are a little scary, and we encourage him not to because, you know, he could hurt himself, but as much as he can do, he will do." End quote. A trained gymnast and dancer, Holland is arguably the most physical of all the cinematic Spider-Men. He's been impressing everybody with his physicality since his debut way back in Captain America Civil War, and Spider-Man No Way Home is no exception. Whether it's doing a backflip off of a moving car, or hanging upside down in some crazy harness, or fighting the forces of evil, Holland is right there giving it the old college try. Dude can even run up a tree and backflip off of it. How many of those have you done lately, huh? Of course, there are some stunts that even Holland can't do, often for legal reasons, and for that, he has stunt doubles. In fact, the star recently made a point of publicly thanking his doubles for their efforts, praising them as legends, which is pretty cute. Possibly not so cute though is the time that, Holland accidentally farted on co-star and girlfriend Zendaya immediately after a major stunt involving some scaffolding. I'm sure they can laugh about it now, of course. Of course, Holland has been going above and beyond since Civil War, but it goes even further than that. When he first auditioned for Spider-Man, he decided to throw in a backflip just to distinguish himself from the competition. Hey, couldn't hurt, right? And the actor's enthusiasm for stunts, whether that's jumping off of metal beams in Homecoming or jumping onto buses in Far From Home, that's changed the way Marvel and Sony do special effects sequences. Back in the Tobey Maguire days, the scenes of Spidey swinging from the New York skyscrapers were entirely CGI. But Holland is so physical, the VFX crew were able to map his movements using motion capture technology and integrate them into CGI scenes. The VFX supervisor, Theo Bialik, said, quote, "If we didn't do direct capture, we still observed how he catches himself when he's off balance. He kind of recorrects or windmills his arms when he's in the air, and all that stuff is just so valuable because you catch on all those nuances." End quote. So while it is CGI, it's also, in a very real sense, Tom Holland. The magic of the movies, huh?
Yeah, basically.
Of course, the ex-Billy Elliot kid gets all the headlines when it comes to spider stunts, but Zendaya is no slouch in that department. The actress has a majorly expanded role in No Way Home, and as well as character stuff, this also involved some practical stunt work, which she said was so much fun. These stunts included her dramatic Gwen Stacy fall at the climax of the movie, which looks pretty perilous for both character and actress. But the other big example occurs near the beginning. MJ and Peter are fleeing from angry crowds after Peter is outed by J. Jonah Jameson, and Peter swings them up onto the top of New York's Queensboro Bridge. After a minute, they jump off again. Apparently, while filming the jump, the height difference between Zendaya and Tom Holland became a bit of a problem. Being a few inches taller, Zendaya kept landing first, which meant that Tom kept losing his footing, and his co-star had to catch him. Of course, theirs is a pretty equal partnership, so we're sure Mr. Holland's ego remains intact. Willem Dafoe has a reputation for intense performances, and he brought his A-game to the original Spider-Man and to his returning role in No Way Home. Not only does he chew scenery like a pro, but Dafoe insists on doing his own stunts where possible. In fact, he did something like 90% of his own stunts for the original Spider-Man, including scenes where he was wearing the Green Goblin mask. At the time, Tobey Maguire even commented to an interviewer that his villainous co-star was in ridiculously good shape. And hey, you would need to be flying around on wires and punching Spider-Man through walls. now 66, Dafoe was equally keen to do his own stunts in the new movie. In fact, it was one of his main conditions for returning, because he considers the physical aspects of the performance to be just as important as dialogue. To make it even more impressive, Dafoe reportedly did more stunts for No Way Home than he did back in 2002. Now that, my friends, is commitment. Willem Dafoe may be happy to get his hands dirty, but Alfred Molina, aka Dr. Octopus, was a little less keen. The veteran actor who starred in Spider-Man 2 and returns for No Way Home quite reasonably pointed out that stuntmen are there for a reason, and he did not want to put anybody out of a job. He was also happy to admit that he wasn't very good at stunts, and he didn't want to hurt himself or anybody else, which seems fair enough to us.
I'm cacking my pants.
Of course, Molina did do some stunts, though a lot of that was limited to wobbling up and down in front of green screens.
If I were a rich man.
His iconic tentacles were also very real. The actor wore a corset with 2 girdles on top, and the tentacles attached to these, though they were remotely operated by the crew. The costume weighed something like 100 pounds, and Molina also had to be attached to a special rig for scenes where his tentacles were carrying him along. Now pushing 70, the actor had to be digitally de-aged for his role in No Way Home, and it doesn't sound like he's any more keen on doing stunts than he was back in 2004. Jake Gyllenhaal's performance as Mysterio was one of the highlights of Spider-Man Far From Home, and the actor certainly threw himself into the role. Apparently he loved his costume so much that he insisted on wearing it as often as possible.
Graham, let me ask you something. If they offered you that, would you ever take that off?
I would never take it off. I would never take it off.
Do you fly in this movie?
Yes, but I fly generally anyway.
Even in scenes where the filmmakers had planned for him to wear normal clothes, Gyllenhaal also made sure to get in shape for the movie. He and Tom Holland even went to the gym together during shooting, and their workouts got so competitive that Holland was left too sore to walk. And you know what? Physical stunts may be hard, but sometimes it's the little things that challenge actors the most. Gyllenhaal was so nervous on his first day that he kept forgetting his lines, and one simple dialogue scene between him and Holland required an insane 40 takes. And why? Because the 2 actors kept laughing. Way to keep it professional, guys.
You just laughed
You
at
were
my
looking around
performance.
so far so you couldn't look at me, which made me laugh. Yeah.
Michael Keaton is no novice when it comes to superhero stunts. Come on, the guy played Batman. However, he was 38 when he shot that, and 66 when he played Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. And while the veteran actor was happy to get in shape and do as many stunts as he could, there was a limit to the level of physical action that he could pull off. And hey, he was wearing a big wing suit and a helmet that disguised his face, so why take unnecessary risks? In fact, Keaton actually recommended a stunt performer he'd previously worked with on Birdman to double him for his MCU appearance. Amusingly, during his downtime on Homecoming, Keaton practiced the stunts that he would have to do for his next movie, American Assassin. And the Spider-Man stunt team even helped him rehearse. Tom Holland, oh, Tom Holland, hey, talented kid, sure, but he was not the first person to play Spider-Man. How about we show some respect to our guy Tobey Maguire?
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Maguire went through his fair share of physical exertions. He got ripped for the role, for one thing, and he nearly passed out when being body cast for his Spidey suit because he's claustrophobic. He also ended up coughing and choking during the iconic upside-down kiss scene with Kirsten Dunst because he had water running down into his mouth and filling up his sinuses. Not very sexy. Plus, there was all the wire work, climbing, and fight scenes. Though when things got really heavy-duty, duties were passed over to a stuntman. One thing Maguire did do himself, the scene in the school cafeteria where Peter catches Mary Jane's tray. It took 156 takes, and there was no CGI involved. We'd like to see Tom Holland do that. One of our favorite parts of No Way Home is the respect it shows to Andrew Garfield's take on Spider-Man. Sure, those movies had their problems, but Garfield was not one of them, and the new picture gives him the send-off he deserves. Like a Tobey before him and Tom after, Andrew was game to do his own stunts where possible. It was by far the most physical role that he had played up to that point, and the actor was happy to swing, climb, and jump as much as the filmmakers would allow. However, one thing that did require a stuntman was the skateboarding. Garfield may be an acclaimed actor, but he is no Tony Hawk. And ironically, one theoretically easy scene turned out to be unexpectedly dangerous. Crossing a road. A taxi drove past at the wrong moment and clipped Garfield's foot, nearly breaking it, something that the actor said was really scary. We wonder if he now has a clause in his contract saying that he refuses to cross roads.
I can't.
We said this video would only go back 20 years, but what if we told you there were live-action Spider-Men running, jumping, and climbing around way back in the 1970s? That's right, for a brief and bizarre time. There was a live-action Japanese Spider-Man TV series which took, shall we say, a loose approach to canon? As in, it basically ignored everything about Spider-Man, except for the costume. As in, he had a giant robot shaped like a leopard? Yeah, sure, why not? Fun fact, this version of Spider-Man was finally integrated into the comics canon as part of the 2015 Spider-Verse event. One thing the show does have in common with the rest of this list is some impressive stunt work, and none of these stunts are crazier than the iconic shot of Spider-Man climbing up Tokyo Tower, used for the credit sequence. This shot involved the stuntman climbing 40 meters up the tower with no wires. Yeah, you heard that correctly. No wires of any kind. The crew just showed up, started rolling, and up he went. Hey, they were shooting 2 episodes of this show per week. Who's got time for basic health and safety?
Thanks.
Did you know Tobey Maguire was almost replaced with Jake Gyllenhaal for Spider-Man 2? The actor reportedly exaggerated the extent of a back injury in order to push for a more lucrative contract, but the studio called his bluff, firing him. Luckily, they eventually managed to patch things up. Bye, guys.